Hello, everybody. Welcome in. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm excited to hopefully have a very successful webinar this afternoon. So we'll give a couple minutes for people to jump in here, and then we will go ahead and get started. If you guys do have any questions while we're waiting or anything you want to add, feel free to put that in the chat. And I will start sharing the presentation in the meantime. We'll give about 2 extra minutes here, just in case we got the stragglers. Think we've got a pretty good group to go ahead and get started here. So, welcome in everybody. My name is Alex Irizarry. I operate on the customer success team here at InsuredMine. And on today's section, we're going to take a couple look at the new feature releases that we've implemented in the InsuredMine platform for the last 2 months. As always, if anybody does have any questions on any of the material I'm looking at, if you'd like me to go into a bit more detail on any of these new features, please do not hesitate. Post your questions in the chat or using the Q&A function that Zoom provides. Anything that you have that can be answered on the call, I will do my best to answer it live as I'm going through the presentation. If there's anything that has to be followed up later on after the fact, you can get in touch with your designated CSM or contact the support team for further assistance. With that said, today's topic is June-July releases. To give you a bit of an overview, kind of setting the scene now, we're going to walk into a live demo here in a second. I will go through all of the features that we have released with a little bit of an explanation of how they work and the intention. After the end of the demo session, if you guys do have any questions, I'll leave a little bit of time at the very end to answer anything else that we did not cover during the demo. And then we'll wrap up with a couple additional slides for some other resources you can access to learn a little bit more about InsuredMine. Okay. With that said, let me go ahead and switch over to our demo portal real quick. Okay, so hopefully everybody is able to see my screen. What I have pulled up right now is I have pulled up the InsuredMine demo environment, and we're currently looking at the dashboard module. For our first new feature that we're going to take a look at, we're going to go into the text log function here in the top right corner. For anyone that is currently signed into their InsuredMine environment, in order to access the text log, you have to be integrated with one of our three providers, those being RingCentral, Lightspeed Voice, or Twilio. If you are integrated with one of those three phone providers, you should see a text and call log here in the top right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this text messaging option. And you can see I have a history of all the conversations that I've had from this number. The enhancement we've made into this section in particular is we have given you the ability to do a multi-select. So if you hover over any of these conversations, you'll now see a little checkbox has appeared to the left side. If I select that checkbox, I will then have the option of selecting from a few bulk items. I can mark items as read in bulk, or I can mark them as unread as well. In addition to that, I also have the ability to close groups of text conversations or archive them as well to remove them from this view. So I'll mark these 3 conversations as closed, and the next time I access them, they will reflect that appropriate status. So this is the primary enhancement that we have made to the text log. We've given you the ability to do multi-select and bulk actions. Moving out of the text log, we have also added some enhancements into the user management section. So by clicking on the profile picture here in the top right, I'm going to have a drop-down that appears. That drop-down has settings, user management, get started, and logout options. We're going to focus on user management. Under user management, if I click on this toggle, I will be brought into my users tab. This is where I can view and manage all of the users I have within InsuredMine, whether they are an admin, a manager, or an agent. The enhancement that we've made is specifically within agency groups. If you can see, I have an agency group that's been generated for DiCaprio Agency, and I have 2 agents currently in this role. If I wanted to make updates for all of the agents that are a part of this group, I can click on the action button here on the right side of the screen, where I now have the added ability to manage their pipelines, their checklist access, their forms, and their templates for everyone that is part of this group. So rather than going into each individual user one by one and updating these restrictions, I can instead assign them to a group, and then that group just inherently gets these pipelines, right? They have access to personal, commercial, and employee benefits. When I update that, that will then reflect for them the next time they log into the system. Likewise, I can give them access to certain templates while removing their access to others. This gives me the ability to control multiple users at once rather than having to go into each of them one at a time and set those restrictions for access. So that is the enhancement we've made into agency groups. What we're going to go ahead and take a look at next is we're going to take a look at within the settings module. So I'm going to go into settings here in the top right. And from settings, I'm going to click on configuration. And under configuration, all users should see an option for call settings, as long as you have calling enabled in your portal. Similarly to the text log, you have to be integrated with RingCentral, Lightspeed Voice, or Twilio. If you are, you should see this call settings toggle, regardless of whether you are an admin, a manager, or an agent. The enhancement we've made here into call settings is we have given you the ability to set up a call forwarding number and automate the forwarding of any calls, whether that is done immediately or after the initial rings. So I can set up my call forwarding number here. And then I can tell the system whether I want every call to be immediately forwarded to said number, or if I wanted to ring on my InsuredMine integrated number first before then ultimately forwarding. Once you click save, any future calls that come in would be first either directed to your InsuredMine number and then forwarded, or forwarded immediately. So that is the call forwarding enhancement that we've made. We're going to come back into settings closer to the end of the call to take a look at a new integration that we've enabled. So for the time being, we're going to go ahead and switch gears and move over to the dashboard module. Within the dashboards, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the drop down here to move us over from the AMS dashboard into the pipeline dashboard. On the pipeline dashboard, we have a number of charts that are all populated by the data you and your producers are putting into your pipelines. So you can track things like month-to-month production. You can track a deal report by lead sources or by carrier or by category. The enhancement we have made is to the agent's overview report. Previously, this overview only showed a closed rate column. So you can see over here on the far right, it would tell you the total number of deals that you've added, the total number of wins, and give you a percentage. The enhancement we've made to this particular report is we are now tracking the open, the won, and the lost deals directly within this report. In order to filter these options, first, you'll want to make sure you select the appropriate pipelines here from this dropdown. I am currently looking at the agent overview from personal, commercial, EB, and renewals. And I can also select my time frame. So if I wanted to look at the last year, I can see everything that they closed in 2025. Or I can adjust it to show this year's closes. It will update and reflect accordingly for each individual agent that I have in the system. Similar to other reports, if you click on one of the orange highlighted options, it will pull up a report of all the deals they have open currently, the details related to them, their deal value, revenue, categories, all the information you added on the deal cards will show here in this report. And you can even click on the deal name to be redirected to the deal page. Oh, I apologize. That is the enhancement we've made to Agents Overview. So you still have the same close rate report, but we have also added columns here so you can see all open cards, all won, all lost directly from this report. Okay. I haven't seen any questions come in just yet. If you guys do have anything that pops up, if you want me to go over a specific feature in more detail, please just feel free to add those into chat and I'll be more than happy to answer anything. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to go over into the pipelines module. So within pipelines, we've made a couple of new enhancements, starting with the filter options. If I click on the filter here on the top right side of the page, we will notice there is a new filter that has been added. Sorry. We've added a new filter option under the labels category. And additionally under the category for the labels. So for labels, I now have the ability to select a no label filter, which will then filter the available deal cards here on my pipeline so that I only see those that do not have a label attached to it. Okay. Similarly, if I go into, let's just say I've gone into my renewal pipeline. Okay, so now that I'm in my renewal pipeline, if I go to the label filter again, I click no labels, and I can see all these cards here in my 120-day mark that had a label assigned are no longer visible due to this filter. This filter enhancement here can be found under the labels option. It is available to all users, and I can remove it just like that. Next up, an additional change that we have made, let me go ahead and open up this deal card here as an example, is going to be found in the quote section. So let's say in my quote section, let's go ahead and add some additional options here. Okay, I have added the ability to move a quote to a new pipeline card. So let's say I'm managing the fifth wheel quote here and this existing card, but I want to transfer the personal auto off of the same card into its own. What I can do is I can click on the toggle here in order to move this to its own pipeline card. You'll get a little pop-up notice that it will create a new card for the selected quote. All of the current account, contact, and related details will still be retained, but all of the specific information to the quote itself, premium, revenue, carrier details, anything you've added to the quote so far will be moved off of the existing card into an entirely new one. When I click this yes button, the system is then going to create a new card for me. It's going to pop up with the automation options that are available in this stage, so I can choose to enable or disable those. And once I click apply, the new card has been created for my personal auto quote. So any of that information, any of that detail that I had it in the auto section would be visible here on the new card. And when I return into the older card, you can see it has removed that quote, that additional category from this card itself. So you can see both of those are listed right here. Let me check real quick. I think I do see a question in the Q&A. Sarah, you asked if there's any plans to add an additional filter for states. Sorry, let's see. Sorry, I had to hold back a sneeze there. I apologize. So filtering by state is not an option that's available here in the pipelines, unfortunately. I don't know if there's any plans to add one in the future, since we don't really store the contact data on the card itself. But you can go into your contacts or your accounts module, and you can filter by state from here. And by filtering by state in this specific section, you do also have the ability to generate a saved report off of those filter options. I'm having a little trouble locating my sidebar here. There we go. So there you can see the state filter that's available. So I can filter by everyone that is located in Alabama. I click apply, and then any contacts that match that parameter would show here in the newly created list. And then once I have this filter in place, if you wanted to save this for review later, you can click on the three dots here in the top right. I can scroll down to save as a list or save as a report, and I can use this filter at any time down the line. So Sarah, hopefully that helped you out a little bit. If you do have any follow-up questions off of that, just let me know. Otherwise, what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and take a look at the next feature on the pipelines. If I go into, let's say I'll go into Alex's pipeline card again. Let's say for whatever reason, I did not sell this policy, right? They decided not to move forward with me today. I need to go ahead and mark this as a loss, but I want to follow up on this card in 6 months when the policy renews. In order to do that, if I click the loss button here on the top right side, you will see I have the ability to enter credit agent details, loss date details, description, reason. And then here in this middle section, we have the ability to set an X date. All of this was here before. The enhancement that we have made is we have also added the ability to target where this pipeline card opens. So let's say I add my 12/31 date. I want it to the same stage. I don't want to open it in a new lead. I want to open it in contacted or quoted. I now have the ability to tell the system to move this card for me automatically and where it should open when it gets to that X date. In addition to this, I also have the ability to start the automation within this stage automatically by checking this box. So what's going to happen is it's going to sit stagnant as a loss opportunity. And when it reaches the reopen and the reminder date, it is then going to reopen for me in the contacted stage. And the stage automation that's assigned there will automatically begin to run only once the card reopens. While it is still in the loss status, no automation is going to run to this client based off of the stage automation. It will only happen after the card reopens based off the X date. Once you have everything here set the way you want, and we've entered all of the required information, we would click submit. The status would then update on the card itself, and I could scroll over to my timeline information to see all of those details that I just added. So I have set it to reopen in the personal pipeline under contacted. I have set my X date for 12/31. And I can also see when it is going to reopen, which is 30 days prior to that X date. Okay. Any questions on the X date feature? Let's see. Laura, if you don't add the extra pipeline info, will it still automatically appear on the X date pipeline? So it depends on what you're running. I think, Laura, what you're referring to is the X date pipeline automation, which is a separate setting from this. That's within the pipeline settings here for the X date pipeline. This would still run independently. This does not have anything to do with the feature I just demonstrated. So that will continue to run no matter what, even if you don't add a specific pipeline or stage to turn it to. So what you would generally be doing, Laura, is you'd be running one or the other. So if you have the X-Date pipeline automation running already in your pipeline settings, you do not need to set up the open-in status here. You would just leave that blank, do not select that option, and then only add the X-Date. And then the X-Date pipeline would handle the rest for you based on the settings you've applied. Does anybody else have any questions? I don't see anything in the chat just yet. So if everyone else is good, I will go ahead and move us over to the opportunities module next. Within opportunities, we have added an enhancement specifically for the AI auto no home and home no auto cross sell filters. So if I go into my cross sell, I'm going to say, let's open up the expiration range to the next 180 days so we can pull in some policies here. Okay, that's fine. So the enhancement that we've made here is in the top right. There is now an automation button that you can see. Under automation, you can see that we can set up an automation for auto no home and home no auto. What this will do, if we toggle on yes, is it will automatically create a deal card for you on the pipeline and the stage of your choosing based off of a certain probability threshold. Let's say once the calculated probability reaches 80% or above. If it hits 80%, the system is then going to automatically create a deal card on the pipeline to review the potential for this cross-sell purchase. In this case, I'm setting it up for auto no home. So the probability that they will purchase a homeowner's policy. And it will assign it to whoever is listed as the agent of record on the current auto policy. You will then be notified that the deal card has been created, and you can review that on your pipelines. Same thing for home no auto. I can separately create an automation here. I could even send it to a different pipeline or a different stage that I choose. And I can have a unique probability threshold for this. Let's say for an auto policy, my threshold is closer to 50%, whatever that may be. And I can generate these deal cards automatically as soon as they hit that threshold based on the AI calculation. Okay. So I've got questions from John. I got questions from Laura that I think ultimately revolve around what is kind of driving or changing the probability on these reports. So really what it's looking at is it's looking at the account history, all of the, I'll pull this up real quick. Okay. Pull the active account actually. Okay. So if I pull up an account that's has a history with us, it'll look at its pipeline cards, it will look at your communications, it'll look at the notes, the history of this account, and the sentiment behind them. Is this trending positive? Is it trending neutral? Is it trending negative? And you can gather some of that information from the summarize tab here as well. If I wanted to generate a summary of the last 5 years worth of history and return that sentiment. So some of that calculation and some of that review of these activities, these opportunities that you're working towards with this client are then also going to be utilized in the opportunities tab to track towards whether or not they would be, we would predict them to purchase a home policy if they already have an auto, or purchase an auto policy if they already have a home. All of that information is being baked into that calculation. So really, ultimately, Laura and John, all of the activity that you're doing, all of the opportunities that you're tracking for this lead go into that calculation. Hopefully that answers your question. I can also share a knowledge base article here in chat with a little bit more on the probability functionality, so you can get a better idea of how that works. So next up, what we'll be looking at is we'll be looking at the reputation module. So for reputation, for everyone that is not aware of this module yet, this is where your Google review integration as well as NPS requests live. If you have Google reviews or Google My Business integrated with InsuredMine, you can use this tab to view your location. You can view your review history. You can even show replies or communications off of those reviews directly from here. The enhancement we have made in this particular case is we have added a filter to determine a specific date range. So now if I wanted to look at maybe my reviews more recently, I can go for the last 30-day period. Sorry, last 30 days. I will scroll down and I will see any reviews from that period. Unfortunately, I'm not showing any reviews for our location in the last 30 days. So let me bump this out to, let's just look at everything that's been done this year so far. Okay, same thing. We need to update our demo portal clearly because I don't have a date range to use at the moment, but you can see the idea is here is the history down here. And these are all of the reviews that have been left for this particular location within the totality of this account. And if you wanted to get a more specific view, you can use the filter to track down a custom range, to track down the last 30 days, the last month, this week, to get a better idea of your more recent reviews as well. That is our last major update as far as a feature perspective is concerned. The last item we're going to take a look at today is we're going to take a look at a brand new integration that we launched last week, which is integration with Claude AI. So in order to set up your Claude AI integration, if you go into the settings module here in the top right corner, the first page you should be dropped into is the integrations tab. Integrations are where your connected email, your connected phone number, your Google My Business, any of the third-party applications that InsuredMine integrates with will live, including the Claude API integration. If I scroll down to the bottom of this page, I'm going to see that AI MCP connector, which is compatible with both Claude and ChatGPT. In order to access this, I need to click on the View Details button here at the bottom, where it will provide me with all of the information I need to set up a custom connector. I have the application name, URL, ID, and secret. So now that I have this information, I'm going to go over to my Claude account here in the top right. From Claude, I am then going to click on the little profile icon here in the bottom right. From this pop-up, I'm going to select Settings. And then from Settings, I'm going to click on Connectors here on the left side of the screen. Once I'm on the connectors page, I am then going to click the drop down to add a new connector. And instead of browsing available connectors, I'm going to click add custom connector. And that's where I would plug on all this information that I received from InsuredMine. So I just need to copy it and paste it over here. Okay. And for reference, there is no limit to the number of individuals that can connect using this process. It's not limited to only one person can connect their Claude account into InsuredMine. As long as you have an InsuredMine account and you have access to Claude, you can set up this integration to link to your specific user. So now that I have this connected, if you see right here, it's located the InsuredMine connector. I can click the connect button right here. And then after it loads, it's going to link that into my Claude. Okay. Once I have this integrated now, I will be able to add some prompts. As an example, let me go ahead and add a prompt here for, let's see, sorry. Let's see. Let's just do a specific prompt. Okay, so we'll input that prompt. It's going to give us the answer here. We're going to go ahead and allow that query. Okay. And then it will provide me with the information that I'm looking for. So it's generated a list for me of all the carriers that are tied for the fewest right now with one policy sold each. You can see each of those carriers listed here. And it'll provide me additional context here at the bottom. Okay. I can also add additional prompts for, let's see. It will again do this prompt. I will click enter to allow the query. And then it will tell me how many total active accounts I have in the system. You can add other more complex queries. We do also have a couple options or examples of queries that you can ask Claude from the knowledge base article that we posted on this integration, which I'll show you how to access here in a second. But those are a couple examples of some prompts that we could apply and pull the data from InsuredMine. Let me check here. I do see a question. Let me check right here. Oh, there's Laura again. If I add to my specific Claude, can others in my office access or knows that a per user connected? This is specifically going to be per user. They would have to go into their own Claude access, click on the settings toggle, and link the connector here to InsuredMine. It would not be something that is set up from an admin level for everyone, right? They have to set it up individually and link it to their specific Claude access. The good news is that this works with any tier. You can use the paid Claude, or for my example, I'm currently set up on the free tier, and you can still link it here with no issues. Any questions on the Claude integration or how to get that set up on your own individual portals? Let's see, Karen, I think you added a bit. Karen, if you missed any of the session, we do record these calls. So if you missed any of the earlier features, you can reference that recording. I think we send it out usually the week after So you can reference it there, or if you do have any specific questions on anything I just talked about, feel free to shoot me a quick email and I'll be happy to help. Let's see. I've got a question from. I got a question from Justin. It says, "Can it make changes on the InsuredMine side, or is it mainly for reference of your InsuredMine data?" Um, Currently, we are in phase one, which is just reading information from InsuredMine. I believe in a future release, we're going to be able to create an update, but that is not currently available. Right now, it is just reading information from the InsuredMine side into Claude. So Michaela, I think that goes into your question as well, as it could be used to create email or send to prospects or use more like a search engine. For the time being, we are just reading data from InsuredMine. So the prompts you are adding in here are pulling information sort of akin to a search engine. Okay. I think Laura said, "What are most agents using, Claude or chat?" I'm not sure yet. Like I said, this launched for us literally late last week. I would say thus far, I have really only seen Claude, and that's the one that I have access to as well. But I do know ChatGPT is pretty popular. So I'm sure there are quite a few that are utilizing that as well. And then lastly, I think Nicole, you mentioned you don't see the Claude integration on your IM account. I'm not sure. I would say I would reference maybe reaching out to the support team, and maybe that it just hasn't launched for your particular agency or group just yet. But if it is available, it would be here under the integration section in InsuredMine. It should be the very last available integration if you have access to it. Okay, I think Sandy said they're primarily using Claude today. Michaela, you said you use the same connector settings as using ChatGPT. Yes, it's the same connector settings. And if you need to access them, just click on the dialog here. This will bring you to the relevant knowledge base article for setup, whether you're using ChatGPT or whether you're using Claude. But it's going to be the same information that you were copy and pasting out of this prompt here. So if I go into, I'll open up the Claude connector for reference here. Like I said, the first portion of this is all about the setup. So how do we link it to InsuredMine? How do we link our InsuredMine to Claude? And then here a little bit lower, you can get a bit more context on what's available for us to read today. So we can read account, contact, policy related information. We can read pipelines, cards, and details. We can track activities. So that's everything that's available here in phase one is in this first column. Okay. So what can you ask Claude? Here are some examples of some prompts that you can find. I think there's currently a question in chat from Damon about, can you ask specific questions about a client's policies? You can reference a specific client within the system. So if you wanted to show all of your expirations, or if you wanted to show the policies that are currently located or active for a certain account or content, you can reference that prompt. You're not limited to the more general prompts that I added here at the start. These are some examples that you can find, and you can play around and tweak with your prompts from within Claude as well to find what works best for you. I've got a couple in the Q&A as well, so I apologize if it left you hanging. Oh, it was you, Damon. Okay. So yeah, you can ask specific questions about a certain account, contact, or policy if you want to. I was just showing more general prompts for the example, but you can ask about a specific contact or account. Does anybody else have any questions on the Claude integration at the moment? Okay. I don't see anything else popping up in chat. So as I mentioned, that was the last new enhancement or feature that I had to show for you guys today. If you want to take a look at any of the new releases that we talked about on this call or any of the integration options, you can click on the What's New button here at the top of your InsuredMine portal and find the release notes for the recent month and all of our previous release notes as well. Now, there are some features that I was unable to demo for us today, which are unique to specific AMSs. I will tell you, last month in particular was a good month for Applied Epic. If you are an Epic user, we released a number of enhancements for your filter options, as well as the ability to send communications from a particular servicing role and filtering for premium or commission ranges within your portal. So if you do have a particular AMS, please take a look at the release notes. You can find all of our AMS specific feature releases in here as well for additional context. And you will also find in this month's release notes for July, you will find those knowledge base articles on how to set up and utilize the InsuredMine connector for both ChatGPT and Claude. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to my presentation real quick. So we kind of already went over everybody's questions. If you do have something last minute that pops into your head, feel free to answer it now. But to wrap us up, I have a couple of slides here of other resources that you can access. Firstly, we have the InsuredMine Learning Academy. This academy has agent certification and admin certification courses, which go over some of the most utilized modules that we offer here at InsuredMine. Pipelines, engagement, e-signature, reporting. If you want a little more context on how each of those systems work, you can go into the agent or the admin certification course, watch the tutorial videos, and take the quizzes. If you haven't already taken these, I would highly recommend it. It's a great resource to help you get started or even help you relearn some of the options that we have here at InsuredMine. I would also ask if you are interested in an upcoming webinar sessions. You can scan this QR code here to sign up for any of our upcoming webinars. We do these generally every other week with a wide range of topics and occasionally guests for other InsuredMine users. And lastly, webinar feedback. If you guys do have any input, if you have anything that you would like to share with us, if you're enjoying these sessions, if you have ideas for how we can improve our webinars, or even if you have a specific topic that you want to see covered in a future session, please feel free to scan this QR code, leave your feedback on the form. We would love to hear your thoughts about how we can continue to make these guys better for all of our InsuredMine clients. Other than that, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for the time. Thanks for sitting in here. If you do have any other questions on any of the features we talked about today, use the live chat button to contact the support team or get in touch with your direct CSM assignment, and somebody will be more than happy to help. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesdays. We'll talk again soon.